Good evening, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hello.
Okay. Give Eric and Jim a couple more minutes here. Okay, there we go. So Eric's the new Danielle. 2 or 3 minutes late to each meeting.
Apparently.
We can go ahead and get started though.
Okay. Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Planning Board. I guess just do a roll call for quorum.
Mark Sprague,
Here.
Pete Driscoll,
Present.
Michael Gore,
Present.
and Jim Barr.
Here.
First item on the agenda is a continuation of phosphid plan for South Bolton Road, map 2C, parcel 23. And this is continued starting October 27th and going through February 9th. So do we have updates on this, or are we continuing this, or?
I believe the applicant's here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Jeff Mata. Hope everybody's doing well on this yucky evening. Quick update. Not too much. The Natural Heritage did get back to us yesterday. Took them a while to tell us that we have to hire an expert in salamanders to go out to the property and assess. So we're in the middle of doing that now, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Guesses on how long that'll take?
I was gonna say, if we could, if it's okay with the board, just postponing it to the next meeting next month, and then just like we've done the last month, I can give Valerie a heads up if we need to move it again. I'm hopeful that we can get somebody out there quickly, but in this world now, nothing quickly happens. So.
Okay, Valerie, are we on any deadlines on this, or we can just continue it at the applicant's request forever?
Exactly,
Okay.
yep. Yep,
Okay.
so as long as Jeff, as you said, if you can provide an email that would extend the deadline to after the next public hearing that we set up, that'd be great.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
Were you?
So are we
hoping-
continuing this to the next meeting or next month? Our next meeting's in 2 weeks.
Next month. I mean, we'll definitely skip the next 2-week meeting. That's
Okay.
not going to happen.
So the first meeting in April.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
You have that date, someone?
Yes, that's the 13th.
I will make a motion to continue the preliminary phase of phosphid at South Bolton Road, map 2C, parcel 23, hearing until April 13th at 7:30. Do we have anything else scheduled?
7:15, 7:30, what?
7:15 sounds good.
7:15.
Okay.
I'll second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Yes.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
and Jim Barr.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, good. I was Easy? Okay. So why don't
Good
we
luck.
jump? Hmm? Yeah, good luck on getting somebody. And
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
okay, so let's step back to the administrative part. Reviewing correspondence and planner's report and approval of minutes. So it's all yours, Valerie.
Sure. So included in the correspondence is an email from the conservation agent about the Nashua River Communities Resilient Lands Project. So this is the current municipal vulnerability project that she's working on. It's a 2-year project that's intended to provide the town with guidance on land management. So I believe that email that she provided has a link to the project website if you're interested further. It's the recommendations that will come out of that will definitely be pertinent to this board. I'm hoping that one thing the consultants can look at is kind of your concerns about tree protection and clearing land and erosion control. So giving us a little bit more guidance as we think about what kinds of bylaws we might want to put in place. So that will be really helpful. An update about the open meeting law. So the governor extended the ability for boards to meet through Zoom through July 1st. So we can meet remotely, we can meet in person, or we can take a hybrid approach. Just wanted to kind of take this opportunity to check in with you and see what your feelings are on that.
I'm happy with either remote or in person. I'm not sure where we have the infrastructure for hybrid.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what people's preferences are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the one thing I do like about the remote meetings, besides just being at home, is how easy it is to read through the documents and the plans on my computer setup. I mean, I do like that, but I'm willing to go back to in person if people would like to do that.
Yeah, I guess I could go either way, but remote is definitely easier, to be at home and pull up stuff on the computer, and I think we get better attendance too. So if we did go back, I would want to have like a potential hybrid, to have more participation, if that was possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have a good, I don't know, do we have a good speakerphone in there that we can use? And, I'm not sure what we would,
Yeah,
not sure how we would handle that. So
It does seem a little bit more complicated.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and for the hybrid option there, I think for me, remote is definitely better for just quality of life.
Yeah, I agree.
Meeting nights aren't quite so crazy, but I will say that that there are some discussions that may be easier to have kind of face to face. So maybe we can kind of take it a month at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm dealing with a lot of remote learning right now, and there are some what I like to call members or citizens that might not have the ability to express their ideas, and so it might be better to have like kind of like, would you say that is something, is there particular like important meanings that might be better in person than on remote, where certain people are not they're not tech savvy, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with whatever. I always found it easier to, when, developer or, engineer was coming in and showing us plans and things. I always found it a little bit easier in person to look at that, and sometimes they bring something and put on the table, and we could all look and point as opposed to sharing it on the screen or trying to find it myself. So that kind of stuff, I think, I've always found a little easier in person. A lot of the other conversations that some of the other conversations we have, I think, are a little bit easier in remotely. I mean, I kind of agree with Mike. It's nice to be able to pull up stuff on the computer rather than this huge stack of papers we used to get and never be able to find the right paper. So there's
Right.
to each. I guess my thought would be, if the governor has extended it to the summer, let's stick with that for the next few months, but maybe we think about a few different options, right? Like, one is the town, going to do anything, to enable like a hybrid meeting, like have the technology, if that's even on the radar for town, for any of the town boards, what other boards are doing. And then, could we maybe think about doing something in the future where one meeting a month is in person and another meeting a month, the other meeting a month is remote, or something like that. And we try to structure the schedule. So if there is something that's really good to discuss in person, like a new subdivision or plans or something, we do that. I don't know, just some thoughts swirling in my mind, but I think we could look at a few options for how best to do it in the future with everyone's input.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I was thinking about the, going, splitting it, staying remote for the next few months and then maybe go, easing back into in person, that sort of thing. Until the governor extends it again, and then, we'll readdress it. But yeah, we'd be easing back into it about the time that, we go to one meeting a month for the summer anyway. So, but yeah, I think, certainly through April or through March and maybe through April, we stay remote, and then, we readdress it, see if the numbers start bouncing back up, or, or stay where they stay low, and we can go back in person. So
maybe I missed it, but what are the other boards doing? Are selectmen, everybody staying remote, or what are they doing?
I believe they're staying remote until at least through the July 1st change. But I will double check with other staff and just see what they're thinking. There's nothing on the town meeting warrant related to additional, technology that would, gear up the selectmen's room for a better hybrid style meeting. But it's an interesting point to kind of think about what other boards are doing as well. So it sounds like. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it sounds like we're good to do remote meetings for now, and maybe check back in June and see what we're thinking.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we're a little different, like was said, having one set of plans out in front of us on the table, that we can look at, it can be convenient, but, how do you translate that to, to having, some people on Zoom who, how are they looking at the plans at the same time, and that sort of thing.
That's the issue that I don't know, as one staff member for this board, it sounds difficult for me to manage a Zoom component and then also try to listen to what's going on and engage. So we'll see.
Yeah, but that's also where we're a little bit different from like the selectmen, where almost all our stuff is just normal letter sort of thing, but that would be easy to put on, have somebody put on Zoom and in front of them at the same time. When you start looking at plans, it's a little more challenging. So yeah, I think conservation would have the same issue, and maybe ZBA. So but, okay, sounds good. So we'll just continue remote until later in the spring, and we'll rediscuss it later on. Okay.
So I'm also getting, since I've started here, I've gotten a few requests to provide foundation only permits. And I wanted to see what your thoughts are on that. For me, it's a little bit strange. You know, why would I grant a foundation only permit if I wouldn't grant a building permit? So I'm wondering what what your knowledge is of the history with those. And, I'm thinking about maybe we should have a policy that says we treat foundation permits as building permits, or we just don't grant foundation only permits. That goes only through the building inspector or.
I don't remember ever hearing foundation.
I've never heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what's their rationale for it?
Right. Currently, I don't know why I just got one, because the ground is, normally I get them in November, December, before the ground is frozen. So it's a developer wanting to get the foundation in and then get their ducks in a row over the winter and start building the home during the winter.
It should be all in.
So what, they get a foundation permit and then a month later they come in or a few months later they come in for the actual building permit?
Yeah, no, that
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, the only way that makes sense is if they don't know exactly what the house is going to be, but they know what the footprint of the foundation is.
Right.
Or they want lumber prices to come down.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, I can see an issue with them when, I always try to think of the worst case scenario. And so if it's a first building permit on a subdivision, why would we allow them to break ground if other site work has not been in place, or they haven't hit all of their milestones that they need to hit before they get their first building permit?
No, building permit's a building permit, regardless.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like inclusionary, where, then somebody's going to be saying, well, we built a foundation.
Yeah.
Why can't we just build a house? So just
Right.
include it in the building permit.
Building permit's
Yeah.
a building permit.
Right.
I mean, if somebody's asking for it and they want to come in and explain to us why, what the rationale is and why they think, it's saving them time or effort or whatever, it'd be educational to the board. But I don't see I'm not sure I see a rationale for it.
Great. Glad we're on the same page then. Just want to make sure we weren't wildly differing there. All right, so moving on, Dave Kane, who's of 460 Main Street, checked in again regarding split zoning on his parcel. So he'd like to come in and speak with the board about his plans for developing the parcel, and then ask the board that to consider split zones at the next town meeting. So he would like to know what information the board would want to see. And it may be useful to start having these conversations, but with the understanding that we couldn't look only at his property. I don't want him to feel like he has to provide the rationale for the whole district, but it could be worthwhile to start thinking about what it means for the next town meeting.
I think it would be great to hear from him, but also we should send out a letter to other owners that are potentially in split zones, and if they would want that to be changed, so we can kind of address the ones that, they do want to be changed, and see if that lines up with what makes sense with what we would like to be changed. And start now, so like we don't get to like 3 months before next year's town meeting, or we're like, well, we don't even know if people want it or not.
Yeah. Well, and start to go through and get buy-in from people, so that we can get it through town meeting this time.
Like if you just want to focus on the business zone, I know Frank Chiodo's land is split.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a few others.
Well, and then
Yeah,
you
I
have
can
half
take a
of
look.
Golden Woods Way in the industrial zone and some things like that. So,
Yeah.
So I think that if I were to send letters to the owners of the split zones, I'd also want to pair that with outreach to residents so that we're hearing, all thoughts and all opinions. So maybe it's worthwhile for a meeting after town meeting to kind of have more of a public discussion about this topic. Just thinking about how the time might take to prepare letters and do the outreach, thinking we might want to look toward May or probably May. I don't want to get too far into the summer.
yeah, no, I think that sounds good.
Okay.
As long as we, just definitely frame it properly that, people don't think we're like trying to rezone residential, like we're trying to take the intended use and clean up, and that would be what the outreach would be. Yeah, just make sure our messaging is clear and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. So I can provide some draft letters or blurbs for the newspaper, or make sure that I'm clear on what the message is too.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Master plan updates. So I've held a few task group meetings recently, mostly related to open space and rec, land use, and municipal facilities. So those are all doing their work going forward. It's definitely been an enormous lift. So along those lines, I'm working on an expression of interest to apply for housing choice grants to allow us to contract with one consultant for technical assistance for the full plan. So I'll also continue discussions over whether ARPA funding could be an option for this. But I am hitting my capacity in terms of time to be able to spend on it. So in order to kind of keep the momentum going, it's clear that we need to get a consultant on board. And we'll talk more about this later on in the meeting with the warrant article as well. So.
Yep. Okay.
And then another grant update is the Green Communities Grant. We've now completed all 6 projects. So I'll be drafting up some of those final grant reports, which puts us in a good position to reapply for funding for additional projects next fall. So we've missed the window for the spring round of grants, but we can still hit the September round. And then the other grant is the Business District Assessment and Market Analysis. So for that one, the consultant has been conducting interviews with landowners in the business district. So she's also going to chat with a commercial realtor kind of to round out our understanding of the commercial outlook in town. So next steps for that grant includes a meeting with the core leadership team for the grant, which is scheduled for Monday night. And then in the coming weeks and months, we'll look to begin surveying business owners and residents. So the grant is still intended to be complete by June.
Okay.
And then looking forward, we've got our next meeting on March 23rd. We have a public hearing for a backland lot on Laurel Road. And then in April, the 580 Main Comprehensive Permit team is going to likely be coming to the planning board for a discussion and public hearing around the modification of their existing special permit for Bolton Office Park. So essentially the planning board is going to revise the office park special permits, even though it was issued by the select board. So it's a bit complicated, but it was by town council deemed the best path forward. So in April, I'm thinking we could have that modification public hearing, and then the board could also provide feedback and comments to the ZBA at that time, so you can just review the full project as well.
Okay.
All right,
That
I've
sounds-
talked for long enough.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Unless you get a drink. Anything on our two favorite developments?
Not really. So
Okay.
I have nothing's really come of road acceptance at Century Mill Estates. I've not heard, I have not heard back from Andy since mid-February or late February. So I think it's reasonable, if the board wanted to consider placing on an agenda in the future, maybe the next meeting in March or the first one in April, placing an item on the agenda around construction updates, just to ask those developers if they want to, come to a meeting or just provide via email kind of what their intended plan is for the upcoming construction season. Kind of as a way to see what their plans are, or to see that if they don't have
They
plans.
have none, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think why don't we, yeah, I don't know if we'd get that by the next meeting, so maybe the not the same one that 460 is going to be in at, so
Right.
just
Okay.
for our own sanity. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have meeting minutes in our packet from February 9th. Any corrections, clarifications, comments on those?
I took a read through and it looks fine to me.
Get a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the planning board minutes from February 9th, 2022.
Second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Aye.
Pete Driscoll,
All right.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Neeland.
Aye.
Okay. Let's see here. So we have about 15 minutes. Okay, so why don't we real quick, hopefully here, under business vote to accept John Powers Lane common driveway as built and release associated bonds. And every time I look at this, there's more stuff added.
Yes, so I did add correspondence related to a wetlands violation. That is a violation by an owner of a property. So they've constructed a fence within wetland resource areas and off of their property lines. I don't know, if that's a reason to hold back on accepting as-built, but just more of a note on what's going on at that property.
And so that's an individual homeowner. That's not the developer anymore.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm not sure that should affect the accepting the as-built and releasing the bonds. And
Yeah.
the developer's not being fined, and the bond wouldn't be used for fines or anything at this point. So
Nope. Yep. It's through will be handled through the Concom. So
yeah.
So we have a clean letter from the peer reviewer. And then I took a look through to see what we're holding for them. So we have a $3,000 as a driveway surety, and then just over 39,000 for the common driveway surety that's held by the town.
Sorry, where is this? Which one is this?
So John Powers is 649 Main Street.
Right near the
So
town
right-
hall.
Oh, yeah, the Main Street. Okay, I remember that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I remember.
Is this peer reviewer a new one? Are we switching to this Places Associates?
Yeah, it's a new one for this board. I am familiar with Places, and this was one of the firms that Erica had reached out to prior to her leaving. She had reached out to a couple of, I think 4 firms, essentially lining that all up for me very nicely so that I could just quickly contract with them.
Okay.
I guess there's a minor issue on their letter that has a date of October 2022. I assume that's supposed to be October 2021. Not a big deal.
Which letter is that?
So this is the letter from Place Associates about the peer reviewer. It just says, you know, the first paragraph, the office is inspected and reviewed, dated January. We had previously inspected the site during the installation of finished pavement on October 14th, 2022.
Oh, I see.
Or 2020, when I feel like that's been paved for a while, but I don't know, just a minor weird thing.
Yes, October, yeah, 2021. I do remember when she went over there. Yeah. It was not in the future.
Yes, I don't know if we can just get her a corrected letter from them, but
So I'm fine with accepting the as-built plans. So if there's no discussion on them, I'll make a motion for that. Make a motion to accept the as-built plans for John Powers Lane.
1 second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Hi.
Mike Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Neeland.
Aye.
Okay. And then we need a motion to release the bond funds.
Do you want to give me the exact number? I think you said it was 39 and some change plus 3,000.
Yes, it was 39,262 and 50 cents.
So 42,262.50.
Yes,
Do you need it as the two separate amounts?
I think we
Single
do.
one.
It's two different accounts. So
Okay, so I will make a motion to release $3,000 from this was the driveway surety bond for
yes,
John Powers Lane.
Second.
and Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Yes.
Mike Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Neeland.
Aye.
And Erica, the second one was the driveway bond,
Common driveway surety.
common driveway surety. I make a motion to release $39,262.50 from the John Powers Lane common driveway surety bond.
Second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Aye.
Pete Driscoll,
Hi.
Mike Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr, and Eric Neeland.
Aye.
And then we have review and approve town meeting warrant article for master plan consultant funds.
Yes.
So originally this was going to be added just to our budget for the year. Advisory preferred it to be as an article. So Valerie pulled it out as an article. So did you check on the wording on this, on the any other sum piece of this, Valerie, or?
Yeah, that's really just boilerplate language so that if a resident wanted to alter that to 25,000, they could, or 35,000, they could, right? So the
Okay.
language has been approved by council as well.
Okay, yeah, I looked back at a couple other warrants and I hadn't seen that wording on consultants and stuff, but I'm okay with it.
If advisory said that's how they want to see it, that's fine with me.
They did meet last night and they voted to approve our budget and our article.
Okay, so we just need to approve it now?
I will make a motion to approve the town meeting warrant article for master planning technical assistance.
I'll second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Mike Gore,
Who's here?
Aye.
Thank you.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Neeland. I think he froze.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
You're moving
Sorry.
again. Okay. Well, the Jim, we're never quite sure whether he's frozen or just sitting very still, but okay, we have a few minutes before we can start the public hearing for 89 to 91 South Bolton Road.
So is that the only warrant article we're gonna put forward?
Yeah.
Do we want to discuss around that or have some language that someone gets up and builds in around that?
Was Bob Romer going to get up and talk about that, or?
Yeah, so advisory would like a presentation, and I think that's probably a good way to go, just to explain further. So either I will present or Bob as chair of the master plan committee. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Bob can get up and do it.
Yeah, it's not typical in Bolton for non-residents to do presentations, huh?
Most of the time, the only one that does is the school committee.
I mean, the fire department has in the past for sure when they want new apparatus.
But that's usually a resident. Well, I guess now with the chief.
Yeah,
maybe
not always.
Yeah.
I mean, Harold Brown was a resident, but he was the DPW guy for a while, so he would speak to a lot of those things sometimes too.
Yeah. For the most part, it's resident. It's the resident. It's usually the boards or committees or whoever that get up and do the presentation. So
should be a very short town meeting, at least. I don't
Yes.
believe there's anything controversial.
Oh, Mike, you just jinxed it.
While we're
I
trying
haven't
to
seen
Well,
seen
while
it.
we're trying to kill time here, for the associate position, I heard that Bob Romer is interested. Speaking of Bob Romer, I don't know if we've had any other interest or if we should put that on our agenda in the future to go over.
Yes, it will be on the upcoming agenda. I have not had time to get that in the newspaper, so I'd want it to be in there for a couple weeks first, just to make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And we should probably get it on the Facebook groups just to, for people who don't see the paper or whatever.
does this board only have one associate, or can you have multiple?
I think it's one.
I think it's one, but we've never had the luxury of having multiple people interested. So even if there were spots for two, I don't think we've ever had, that level of interest. So
Yeah,
but
yeah, I just want to make sure that it's we've met all of the legal posting requirements for that, so that
Yeah.
it's allowed.
yeah, exactly.
When are you putting that one in the paper, Valerie?
I'll try to send an email to the editor. It'd have to be tomorrow for next week.
Okay, and then it'll get posted on the town website at the same time, or okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So once it's on the website, then we can post a link to that on Facebook for the people that are, hit people wherever we can and try to get some interest. So, and Jim can attest that it's not too onerous to be an associate. So
Oh,
hopefully.
not at all. That's actually how I knew that. I went onto the website and I knew that there was an opening. That's why I applied. So.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay. Yeah, Jim, this is your first meeting as a full member.
Oh, it got passed to the Board of Selectmen?
Yes, it did.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I thought they would have alerted you.
It's all right. Glad to be here.
Okay. 8:13, probably close enough. Okay, so we're going to, this is a continuation of the backland lot special permit and common driveway special permit hearings for 89 to 91 South Bolton Road, map 3C parcels 18, 20.1, and 27. And so I think where we had left off was there was some back and forth between the peer reviewer and the engineer, whose eyes we can barely see. You may want to tip your camera down a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
That's a bit better. Yeah.
One of these days I'll learn how to do this. I think Chris was going to make a statement as to what he wants to do here. We've got some issues that have come up over the last week or two when we got when we had a discussion with the reviewing engineers. So I think Chris is on, I believe.
Okay. He's on and muted.
How's that?
There we go. That's better.
There we are. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
Rains as usual. Anyway, yeah, Jack and I went over some of this, and we had a second communication, I think, where the reviewing engineer found some stuff from DEP or the state, the porous concrete pavement would not work. Jack, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it was, and I was not aware of it, but there appears to be, there was an update on some of the information as far as stormwater protection in the DEP regs. And basically what it came down to in this situation is there's a requirement that the driveway would have to be 100 feet away from septic systems and 50 feet away from all the wells. And we don't have the room to do that out there. So we've got to go back and relook at how we're going to handle the drainage. So at this point, we're just going to kind of step back and take a look at that. The second part of it, I guess, is a question for you guys. It's not in your regulations, but I'm sure you can ask for it if you'd like it. The engineers suggested that we do a full drainage study of the whole property. I know from talking with her, she hasn't been out to see the property. One of the things would happen if we were going to go in and, clear cut 4 acres of land and redevelop everything is a little bit different. In this case, we have an open flat field. The roadway, all the houses, all the septic systems are in an open flat field. So it's a little bit different on how drainage applies to this property versus, probably a typical driveway that you see. I didn't feel that it was necessary to do that, especially when we were looking at it with porous pavement, because the water falls on the pavement and it goes right down through the ground. If anything, using the porous pavement was actually a better drainage situation than what's natural there, because all the water would automatically get recharged. But she was going to leave that up to you guys. And I don't know whether she has brought it to your attention yet, whether you want to do the drainage study or not. But at this point, that's another issue we've got to take a look at when we either rearrange the driveway or change the porous pavement, whatever is going to work that'll meet the state DEP stormwater requirements. So that's kind of, I think at this point, Chris was going to speak about moving ahead with the backland lot, and let's postpone, not withdraw, but just postpone to a later date the driveway so we can get that resolved and get it back to your consulting engineer to review. And Chris, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. I'm not sure even what I'd like to do, for a number of reasons, get this straightened out, a couple of other things, and I have yet to talk to conservation. And I guess if we're just going to go off spending $20,000 or $30,000, hopefully not, on a drainage study on 2-minute perk material, I better make sure that they're on board with this. So anyway, this mess with Mr. Keep grinds on. Of course, I've gotten to know everybody up there at DEP on a first name basis. But one of the things that came out in various conversations when they were talking with my brother, that he is an attorney who is on a retired status with the overseers. However, that changed everything at DEP, so that now any documents are going up to the legal department. So needless to say, I haven't seen a scrap of paper from them yet. It's not surprising if we're in the legal world. But this puts a cloud on everything. I realize I don't give me the permit based on his complaints on another piece of property. But it puts you in the, why are you giving a permit to this Mother Earth raping bum who's polluting everything? So perhaps what I would like to do is continue the hearing until the second meeting of May, with no action taken at the moment. We just stop. I'm not in that much of a rush. I'd like to get some of this straightened out before we, get into formal discussions and decisions. This will get us by the election, town meeting, all this nonsense. Give me a chance, hopefully DEP by then Well, they've given me instructions, what I've got to do to be in compliance if I am not already in compliance. So if you people are not unhappy about just putting this in Val's file drawer for a little over 60 days, I think that's what we'd like to do.
Okay. Um, that's, I think that's fine with me. I mean, I think we should come back and you know, talk about, you know, what drain, you know, what drainage information or not that we do want to have, you know, as part, you know, added to the package. But as far as, you know, continuing the overall consideration until the end of May, I think I don't have any problem with that.
If at the end of May, we're still looking for information, we'll provide it before we'll ask you for a decision.
Well, and that's why I said, you know, if we want, you know, it might be worth spending a few minutes, you know, now talking about the, you know, what we want for drainage stuff, so that, you know, you can have that in hand when, you know, when we come back to the plan.
Yes, whatever.
So I mean, I haven't been out on the site, so I don't know the detailed topology. You know, I do, you know, looking at the plan, I do see, you know, there's a bunch of wetlands around there. So, you know, that kind of says to me that there's not a huge, you know, there's not a huge amount of slope in there, which I think, you know, which when you describe it as a large open field, that kind of correlates to that. So I mean, you know, do we need I'm not sure that we necessarily need a full, you know, that we're expecting, you know, huge, you know, drainage structures and all that sort of thing. You know, but you are potentially, depending on the driveway and pavement and such, you know, you may be, you know, are you impeding the you know, any surface sheeting or anything like that, you know, during major storms? You know, how are you you know, are you isolating wetlands? Are you, you know, where is the runoff from the driveways and, you know, house lots and such, you know, all of that sort of thing going. You know, so you know, so you know, I mean, there's a lot of open space. There's, you know, there's looks like, you know, a fair amount of area that should drain pretty well, but, you know, and you've got, you know, 2 feet of snow that's melting, you know, where's that water going and how is it, you know, not impacting the driveway, you know, the driveway to the houses and that sort of thing. You know, I think it's the sort of thing that we kind of need to understand.
You know, I was just going to say, I mean, typically, the way we're probably going to proceed with this thing is all the road drainage is going to be contained within the roadway, whether we figure out a way to do it with a pervious pavement or with a regular asphalt. What I had anticipated, you know, back when we were looking at this, was that we would go through the design of the common driveway, and again, you know, we run all the calculations, and we know that the drainage system underneath the roadway is more than sufficient to support it. When we've got to go to conservation on each of the individual lots, and at that point, we get into, you know, having to design a way to handle the runoff from the roofs, and if there's patios and all that kind of stuff. Kind of anticipate it was going to go that way on an individual lot basis rather than trying to do a complete drainage study over the whole 40 odd acres out there, most of which is never going to get developed anyway. So, you know, we're only really developing a small portion of the whole project, or the whole parcel rather. And the part that we are developing, like I said, is, you know, the soil perks at less than 2 minutes an inch. It's you know, right now it's an open field, so we're not really changing the vegetation on it from, you know, wooded to an open field or wooded to a developed site. And it was probably a mistake on my part to anticipate that, but I haven't been before you guys in a number of years with a common driveway, but I can't remember any of them ever having to go through planning board for an overall drainage study of the entire property. It was more of a conservation issue when we got to the, to that point, getting a order of conditions. So that's why I didn't anticipate it and hadn't gone forward with it at this time.
Yeah, I think in the last few years we've added that more as a kind of requirement up front to make sure that we're get the issues designed in ahead of time and before the last thing you want to do on a common driveway is conservation get back and say, oh, you've got to deal with your runoff, and all of a sudden you're having to build a detention basin on somebody's lot when you could have planned it a little bit differently and such. So yeah, I mean, I think like looking at the common driveway and the elevations, there's some places where you're going to be, looks like you're kind of going above the current surface. So any sheeting or any any water movement that would have you're now kind of cutting some of that off. So understanding is that an issue? Where's the water coming from and going to? How are you going to handle that? I mean, do you need some small culverts in those areas? Do you is there other well,
see, that was that's the great use of the pervious pavement, because the water, when it hits, it goes right through it, so you don't get sheeting. And what we did is we put a stone trench, if you want to call it, on each side as kind of an overflow situation. So if there was a frozen area, you've got another location for it to go. So it's a whole different aspect versus doing a closed drainage system with culverts and catch basins and everything else, which doesn't really apply to this type of topography and the soil that's there. Even if we don't use pervious pavement, we probably will still just catch whatever water's there, sheet runoff on the side of the driveway and immediately recharge it rather than divert it to a detention basin somewhere else.
I prefer that design because I always felt this, excuse me, concept of rounding up all the water, putting in a big pipe, and building something for a big system to get rid of it at the other end of the lot or whatever. That's not really keeping with not disturbing things. You'd really like the rain that used to hit right here moves perhaps up to 6 feet to the edge of the driveway and goes into the ground.
Yep.
Ideally, you don't move it at all, but move it as little as possible. And that'll maintain the groundwater levels that you've always had.
Yeah, no, I agree with conceptually that's the ideal thing. I just know, I mean, there's always issues, with, dealing with, any sand or anything like that, or any contaminants in the runoff, along the road and such. So I think we need, I think we need at least some basic drainage information and, kind of understanding, in the, the normal set of storms that everybody designs to, does that, are there any problems, going to be any issues here with where the driveway is and what its elevation is going to be and that sort of thing.
I was going to say, let me make this suggestion. Why don't I work with your consultant to come up with something that she feels comfortable with? What she and I have both discussed the whole issue with pervious pavement versus regular pavement and some of the options that we have. I'm pretty sure I can sit down with her and work it all out, and we'll get back to you before we do anything else anyways. If she feels at that point that we absolutely need to do a drainage study, well, we'll end up doing it. But I think once she's had a chance to see whatever the final design is going to be, I'm pretty sure she'll feel comfortable with it, and then she can relay that to you guys.
So I think that all needs some clarification from the board as well, because I think the peer reviewer and I are both viewing what is in Bolton's bylaws, zoning bylaws, as indirectly requiring a drainage plan. So I think I need a little bit of clarification from the board about what your interpretation of the bylaw is, because that bylaw hasn't changed for the last 20 years. And the common driveway plans, I've reviewed what we've received in the past. This is my first common driveway permit in Bolton. And it looks like what we've received in the past has included grading and drainage plans. And at the very least, the bylaw does require the 1 foot contours. But when I look at the code of Bolton, so it's saying part of what it's requiring is suitable drainage appurtenances to prevent excessive erosion. And perhaps this needs to get rewritten so that we're explicitly saying we're looking for a drainage plan. But it's saying that the drainage appurtenances must ensure to the satisfaction of the board that all proposed activity and all development, including construction of dwellings, lawns, and other impervious areas for all lots served, in no manner contribute to additional drainage. So the way I read the bylaw is that this board is looking for review of how water is flowing on the full site. So that wouldn't be just a Conservation Commission concern. And then further, when I look at our rules and regulations, it's asking for that proposed contours at 1 foot intervals, so that the proposed drainage appurtenances may be evaluated. So, I don't know how the board feels, and in your review of previous common driveway plans, it appears as though a drainage plan is required. And perhaps we should make that more explicit, but I do wonder what members of the board feel.
Every development is different, but that being said, I think, if we pick on the one from earlier tonight, John Powers Lane, they had a drainage plan, and actually I think they had a couple of small basins to pre-treat the runoff before it hit the wetlands that were there. I think, where you've got the large open space area, if that's mostly downhill from where the driveway is, I think you can make an argument that that's all downhill, so that's kind of, not, that's never going to impact the development area. So you might not need to, do a study for the whole 40 acres, but, I think, you should, I think, as Valerie said, we need, the bylaws do call out some requirements there, so we need to make sure that those are met.
I would also just caution with trying to, create a plan with input from the peer reviewer. I know that she will be hesitant to try to, craft a plan with you. So I know that from working with her in previous applications, she'll be able to respond to what you've put forward, but we'll probably hesitate to kind of, work side by side at the, creation.
Yeah, no, wasn't anticipating that. Like I said, I've had a discussion with her about the drainage, and what I was going to do is, once we decide whether it's pervious pavement or it's going to be typical asphalt, I would put together the plan and get it back to her for her to review, and then she can decide whether she needs more information of that. I think it's definitely going to be different than what the plan is we have now, because it just won't work with the later stormwater setbacks that they're requiring. So, but whatever we come up with, it's still going to be a relatively simple system just because of the soil that's there. It's I mean, I don't anticipate any large detention basins or piping systems or anything else. It's going to be direct recharge, but we'll get it worked out and I'll get it to her and we'll all hear what her response is, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it may be, a swale on both sides of the common drive may be sufficient.
Mhm.
You just need to show us that that's, that's the case and that it's not going to cause, other drainage issues on the site.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting, the type of drainage system that, Keys Farm or, someplace like that has, certainly, but we do need to make sure that, that what's going in is correct.
Yep. Okay.
Anybody else on board have comments on it?
I mean, I think we've usually had, a lot more stuff around the drainage. And the one I think about is that one over on Century Mill Road, closer to 85, where I think we ended up modifying the common driveway permit because of some of the stuff they were looking to do. So.
Well, that's the one that we didn't. Is that the one we denied because they didn't?
It didn't even get to the point where we denied it. I think they pulled it because of they had so many issues around it. But they were all related to drainage, and so we spent nothing but looking at drainage issues around that property.
Yeah.
Valerie, if we know the date of our meeting in May, we can continue this if there's.
Yeah, I don't know that we have discussed May meetings, but if we're doing the second and fourth Wednesday, then it would be May 11th or May 25th.
Okay.
Do you guys have a preference?
I'd originally said the second meeting, the 25th, just so you'd have a chance to catch your breath after town meeting and all the rest. We can do the first one if you'd like.
No, second one works. I will make a motion to continue the backland lot special permit and common driveway special permit for 89 to 91 South Bolton Road until May 25th at 7:30.
Second.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Nealand.
Aye.
And do you need an email from Chris or Jack just confirming that we're continuing it?
Yes, that would be great. Confirming the continuance and an extension of the timeline here.
One of us will get it to you. Probably me.
Okay.
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 All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much, gentlemen. We'll see if we can get some of this other mess straightened out while we're not in your hair.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. And that, if I'm reading the agenda correctly, is everything.
If there's nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn.
And those in favor, Mark Sprague,
Aye.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Mike Gore,
Aye.
Jim Barr,
Aye.
and Eric Nealand.
Aye.
Hey. Sounds good. So next meeting is 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
23rd.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night,
All right,
everyone.
thank you all.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.